Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai. Call Halal Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostle and the elder, great millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect that's watching and learning. To you I say shalom. I also want to give a shalom to the brothers, out on the highways and byways, doing this work in all truth and sincerity, lifting up the name of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, with all truth and sincerity. To you brothers, I say shalom. I also want to give a shalom to the newly awakened. Those of you who the Most High blessed with His Spirit to understand His word and His will and His doctrine. To you I say shalom. I'm the brother Nakamaya, coming at you with another lesson. Right, and not sure what I'll call it yet, but what prompted this lesson was the death of John Lewis. Right, now this whole lesson is it's not gonna all be about him, right? But I'm also going to some scriptures because I just recently did a lesson, all right, about the seed of the serpent, Cain, the curses, that sort of thing, right? And his death kind of jumped out at me when I was reading about his accomplishments and everything, but not just him, Elijah Cummings. So we're gonna just read a little bit about him and Elijah Cummings, and then we'll let our lessons take off from there. All right, what you see right here is Robert Lewis. He just recently passed away. Right, he was a member of the U.S. House of Representatives. Well, before we actually get into him, let's go ahead and get a scripture real quick, because guys like this, right, pretty much sum up the scriptures. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 14, verse 12. There is a way which seems right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Right? And this is the perfect candidate, not just him, but we're gonna also visit the late Elijah Cummings as well. But that scripture, is real suitable for guys like this, right? Because they spend most of their lives actually trying to, fight for the people, man. Dedicate their service, for the betterment of our people. But it's all in vain, right? Because it's not, they do it without the true wisdom of the Most High, So really what these guys are is just vain help. The impacts that they actually make, for their people are, abysmal at best. And our people, the scripture says, have a zeal for the Most High, but it's just not according to knowledge. So guys like, John Lewis, Elijah Cummings, because we're going to get some of him too. He died not even a year ago. Because judgment's going out, man. It's starting at our elder guys, the older guys, right? Guys like this, Can't come down too hard on these guys here, man, because, they try. It's just they were just vain help, man. Right? They try and make a stand for people, but it's not according to the ordinances of the Most High. So therefore, judgment still poured out. All right, so I ain't gonna talk too much. Let's go ahead and get into this lesson. Get a little bit on John Lewis, and then we're gonna go and get we're gonna read a little bit about Elijah Cummings, right? Because both of these guys, when I see these guys, both of these guys remind me of each other, right? Because they have that same spirit, So let's go ahead and get into the lesson. John Roberts Lewis, February 21st, 1940 through July 17th, 2020, was an American civil rights leader and politician. He was a member of the Democratic Party and was the U.S. representative for Georgia's 5th Congressional District from 1987 until his death. Right? Right, so he's been in he's been in politics for a while. You know, so this guy was he wasn't just no your average Jake, man. Right. He was also dean. He was also the dean of the Georgia congressional delegation. The district he served included northern three-quarters of Atlanta. All right, just some just some of his biography, his education. He died, stuff like that. Now, the site that I'm on right now, if you want to come and check some of this stuff out yourself, if you just go into Wikipedia, just put his name in, you'll get all his credentials and everything. You're not gonna read all of it, just a little bit of it. Lewis, who as chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, was one of the Big Six leaders of groups who organized the 1963 March on Washington and played many key roles in the civil rights movement and its actions to end legalized racial segregation in the United States. Right, so a lot of you Jakes out here, right, that seem to have it good, don't have to worry about getting kicked out of buildings and stuff like that. This is even though his wisdom wasn't according to knowledge, right? The Most High still used him, man. Right, to make some of you Jakes' lives easy in his captivity, man. Right, I'm not saying that he's somebody that should be praised, man, but the Most High can bring the good out of all of us, man. Even when we're not even in this truth, But this is just really a classic case of somebody being destroyed from a lack of knowledge, man. You know. He became a leader of the Democratic Party in the U.S. House of Representatives, serving from 1991 as a chief deputy whip and from 2003 as a senior chief deputy whip. He received many honorary degrees and awards, including the Presidential Medal of Honor. Now, this Presidential Medal of Honor is one of the highest honors, man, you can receive. All right, let's just go into that real quick. And then we'll go to read some about Elijah Cummings, and then we'll get into the lesson. The Presidential Medal of Freedom is an award bestowed by the President of the United States to recognize people who have made an especially meritorious contribution to the security or national interests of the United States, world peace, culture, or significant public or private endeavors. The Presidential Medal of Freedom and the Congressional Gold Medal are the highest civilian awards of the United States. So he accomplished or managed through his liberties and his duties. He managed to grab the highest medal possible in the United States, which really don't mean nothing, right? But just from a worldly standpoint, right, showing you that this guy had an impact. Whether it be good or whether it be evil, right? But like I say, guys like this, through the spirit and power of our Lord, of course, made this captivity just a little bit more, easier for us, man, right? Because we still there. All right, let me see where I was at. The Presidential Medal of Freedom and the Congressional Gold Medal are the highest civilian awards of the United States. The award is not limited to U.S. citizens, and while it is a civilian award, it can also be awarded to military personnel and worn on the uniform. It was established in 1993 by President John F. Kennedy, superseding the Medal of Freedom that was established by President Harry S. Truman in 1945 to honor civilian service during World War II. Right, and this is a picture of the medal. Right. So, Judgment starts at the house of Israel, and he's going to start with the aged men, right? And a lot of our aged men, we're in everything but the truth, So we'll slowly, for those that don't repent or or waking out of their deep sleep, we'll see them just pass away. Now I want to get to the next story. Now this is Elijah Cummings. Right, this is another late senator that passed away. Right, that dedicated his life, for the betterment of our people, but of course not according to knowledge. Right, but the reason why I had to touch on him is because, like I said earlier, when I think about what's senator name? I just forgot. John Lewis. Elijah Cummings comes to mind, right? Because these guys are pretty much cut from the same cloth. So let's go ahead and read a little bit on him, and then I'll get into the lesson. Now he is actually what sparked the lessons, right? Because he come from a family of sharecroppers, right? And I just did a lesson about the curses that was put on Cain, Cain, Adam, Eve, and the serpent. And one of those curses was how he cursed the ground, right? And how Adam had to till the ground in order to receive his increase, and how Cain couldn't till it at all, and how Cain is Esau, and how they still can't till the ground today. So what I'm gonna do in this lesson, right after I read some of him, we're gonna go into sharecropping, right? Because that's what his family was doing, right? And we're gonna get a little and a little enlightenment on that, because and we're gonna see that Cain to this day, which is Esau, he still can't till the land. All right, so that's what really prompted this. So we're gonna read a little bit on Elijah, and then we'll get into that. Elijah Eugene Cummings, January 18th, 1951 to October 17, 2019. See, he died not even a year ago. And another thing too, I don't recall him like being sick before he died. I think it was just a random death too. So the Most High, man, is just if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I think it was just pretty much like a surprise. January 18th, 1951 through October 17, 2019 was an American politician. Elijah Cummings was an American politician and civil rights advocate who served in the United States House of Representatives for Maryland 7th Congressional District from 1996 until his death in October 2019. The district included just over half of the city of Baltimore, including most of the majority black precincts of Baltimore County, as well as most of Harvard's county. He previously served in the Maryland House of Delegates. He was a member of the Democratic Party from 1996. Cummings served in the Maryland House from 1983 through 1996. That year, he was elected to the U.S. House. Cummings served as the chair of the Committee Oversight and Reform from January 2019 until his death in October of that year. All right. It's another, one of our, civil rights advocate. Someone else who dedicated their lives, man, trying to better for the betterment of their people, man. But it just wasn't according to the scriptures, So they fell short in their duties. But like I said, with the other guy that just passed, even though their works were in vain, they still had an impact, right? Because they made this slavery just a little bit, just a little more durable. Now, of course, it was all done through the Most High, but he uses men. All right, now what I want to do now. Actually, let's go down a little bit. We're going to deal with sharecropping. So let me read just a little bit more of this. Cummings was born on January 18, 1951 in Baltimore, son of Ruth Elma and Robert Cummings. His parents were sharecroppers. He was the third child of 7. When he was 11 years old, Cummings and some friends worked to integrate and segregate swimming pools in South Baltimore, right, at 11. Showing you the type of spirit he had, man. You see, this wasn't according to knowledge. Cummings graduated with honors from Baltimore City College High School in 1969. He then attended Howard University in Washington, D.C., where he served in the student government as sophomore class president, student government treasurer, and later student government president. He became a member of the Phi Beta Kappa Society and graduated in 1973 with a bachelor's degree in political science. Cummings graduated from law school at the University of Maryland School of Law, receiving his Juris Doctor in 1976 and was admitted to the bar in Maryland later that year. He practiced law for 19 years before first becoming elected to the House in the 1996 election. Right? That's all I'm going to read on that, but let's just go up to sharecroppers, right? Because it says his family was sharecroppers, and this is what we're finna get into our lesson in. Now, before we get into this lesson, right, or before we start reading about it, let's go to some scriptures real quick. Now, we're finna go to the book of Genesis, chapter 3, start by like 17, right? We finna go into the curses that he put on Adam, right? Adam and Cain, right? And this is what really prompted this lesson, right? Because when we go into these curses, Adam cannot till the ground. Well, Adam can till the ground. He has to till the ground to get his increase. Actually, let's just go ahead and read it. Got the book of Genesis, chapter 13. Slakia, chapter 3, I'm starting at verse 17. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Right? Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. Verse 19, here's the point. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thy return unto the ground. From out of the ground, for out of it was thou taken, from dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. Right? So that's one of the curses that he put on Adam, right? So Adam has to till the ground and work in order to get the increase, right? So let's go to Cain real quick. Right? Now we're going to see these actually play out. We'll see these actually play out, during slavery, right? But when I started reading about the sharecroppers, man, all these curses just jump straight out, and you'll see what I mean when I get into the article. It's got the book of Genesis, chapter 4, start at verse 8. Slocky, I'll start at verse 9. Just really want the curses. And the Lord said unto Cain, where is thy brother Abel? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? Verse 10, and he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. And now thou art cursed from the earth. So Cain's cursed from the earth as well too, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. Right. Verse 12, when thou tillest the ground, it should not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond should thou be in the earth. Now, all I'm on is verse 12, right? That first sentence of it. When thou tillest the ground, it should not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. Right, and that's Cain. So Adam has to till the ground in order to get the increase of it, and Cain can't till the ground. And Cain is ultimately Esau now, right? So right now to this day, Esau can't till, right? But Cain, he can't till the ground, right? But Adam can, or Jacob can, right? So let's go back to this article, right? And go into sharecropping. Right, and we're going to see these curses play out right here within the sharecropping. Right, so we're going to read some of this, right, and then until we get to the point. Sharecropping became widespread in the South as a response to economic upheaval caused by the end of slavery during and after Reconstruction. Right, because after that Civil War, it kind of through the economic, how can I word this? Your economics went into a spiral, right? Because the war destroyed and caused a lot of confusion and chaos, right? So they had to come up with other forms of or other means or a new system, to generate money, because before Reconstruction, in the Civil War, slaves just pretty much did everything, right? While they just sat back and collected. But now that they freed the slaves, right? That free labor is no longer there, right? So now they have to put a system into place, and that's where the sharecropping comes in. It's just really a system, right? But still, it gives all the power to the powers that be, and you Jakes are always going to be on the the bad end of it, But this is how this is what the effects of sharecropping did, but it also going back to those curses that was placed on Adam and Cain. Sharecropping was a way for poor farmers, right? Poor farmers. You don't own land, so how can you be right? It's not talking about you. Both white and black, to earn a living from land owned by someone else, right? So this land that they're sharecropping on, they don't own it, right? Somebody else owns it, right? And we can guess who owns it, right? It's not our people. Israelites don't own this land, right? It's fair to say Edom owns the land, right? But Edom can't sow or till, right? He can't till that land, so he just has land that he can't do nothing with, right? You got to keep that in mind, right? Because that's the curse that he put on Cain. When thou tillest the ground, it should not, yield unto thee her strength, right? So even though these owners got this land, they can't do anything with it. Not without the hand of Jacob. The landowner provided land, housing, tools, and seed, and perhaps a mule, and a local merchant provided food and supplies on credit, right? They got a system set up, right? So he's going to give you everything you need to make all this stuff happen, right? Because if left alone, he can't do nothing, right? He's got all the power in the world, all the authority in the world, but he can't do nothing with the ground, man. He can't do nothing with the earth, right? At harvest time, the sharecroppers receive a share of the crop, from 1/3 to 1/2, with the landowner taking the rest. Now you see that, right? So he's gonna give you this land to till it, right, and grow it, and I'm gonna give you a percentage of it, right? I'm gonna give you up 1/3 of it, up to 1/2 of it, right? And the owner gonna keep the rest. Now most people say, well, I think that's a pretty generous offer there, man. He owned the land, he letting them work it, He just taking half, man. That's a good deal. Yeah, but on the other hand, what else can he do, man? Right? He's being slick because he can't grow anything. Right? You're just a landowner, man. If it's not for these other, Jacobs, if it's not for Jacob, man, you'd have a desert, man. You just have land with dirt there, man, with nothing growing on it, just weeds and thorns coming out, man. You see that? And that's where these curses come in at. But this is how they manipulate our people as well, because straight out of slavery, we need work, man, right? So they put a system in place to still take advantage of you and pretty much just leave you in slavery as well, too, right? Because they were getting bad deals out of this, sharecropping. They were charging them to use the tools, even though he said, okay, well, till the land and whatever come out of it, I'll give you half of it, right? But then he still turned around and charged them for using the tools and all that, man. At harvest time, the sharecropper received a share of the crops, from 1/3 to 1/2, with the landowner taking the rest. The cropper used his share to pay off his debt to the merchant, right? The merchant who, loaned you seeds, right? Might let you borrow some machinery to do the work, right? See, all that stuff costs you. So you are just, everybody's making money off you, kind of like they are today. Right. The system started with black farmers when large plantations were subdivided. By the 1880s, white farmers also became sharecroppers. The system was distinct from that of the tenant farmer who rented the land, provided his own tools and mule, and received half the crop. Right? Because he wasn't doing nothing, man. I just got everything. I got the land. I got everything, man. Just grow it. I give you half of it. Landowners provided more supervision to sharecroppers. and less or none to tenant farmers. Sharecropping in the United States probably originated in the Natch district, roughly centered in Adams County, Mississippi, with its county seat, Natchez. Hey, now this is spiritual, right? In Adams County, right? Because Adam can still till the earth, but he got to put sweat from the sweat of his brow. Sharecroppers worked a section of the plantation independently, using growing cotton, tobacco, rice, sugar, and other cash crops, and receiving half of the parcel's output, right? Because all these things Esau cannot grow, man, right? And he knows it. So what he does is hog up all the land, take all the land, and then use your service to reap the benefits. You see? But it's all due to the curses, man. Sharecroppers also often received their farming tools and other goods from landowners they were contracted with, right? Got to make contracts with them too. Landowners dictated decisions related to the crop mix, and sharecroppers were often in agreement to sell their portion of the crop back to the landowners. So not only was they working to get their own crops, but they agreed to sell the portion that their portion back to the landowners. So really, y'all just really working for this guy, right? And he needs you to do this, right? Because he really want all the crop, but he can't grow it himself, right? So what they do is come up with little contracts with you, right? You when you during your your time of distress, right? Your needy situation, right? And make deals with you and manipulate you all in one breath, right? And eventually wind up with even your earnings. He even wind up with that, right? But at the same time, he can't grow anything, man. He can't do nothing. Sharecropping often proves economically problematic as the landowners held significant economic control, of course, and that's what it's all about, man. Their control, right? By any means necessary. And the funny part about it is, if our people just say, you know what, man, you can have your land, grow your own crops, this man would be stuck, man. Why you think they got to come up with all these genetically modified foods, man? Right? They got to create food because they can't grow it, man. Right? Why you think Esau has no problem destroying the earth? Because the earth is no good to him. Right? Because it's not going to yield its strength to him. Right? So this man has no problem poisoning the water, the air, the earth, sucking all the oil out of it. The earth. He don't have no problem with that, man. Because the earth is against him and he knows it. Right? So if he can't use us, right, the children of Israel, right, to get the extract the resources, or to get the strength from out of the earth, man, he'll just destroy it, man. Why you think he cuts down trees, man, and throws buildings up, right? Because a building is more profitable him than land, man, right? Because he can actually make money off a building, right? Turn it into a company, a business. But when it comes just to the raw earth itself, man, this man don't have no respect for the earth because the earth is not dealing with him, right? And it's been set that way from the beginning through these curses, and that's really what prompted this lesson. Let me get some more of this article. Although the sharecropping system was primarily a post-Civil War development, it did exist in antebellum Mississippi, especially in the northeastern part of the state, an area with few slaves or plantations, and most likely existed in Tennessee. Sharecropping, along with tenant farming, was a dominant form in the Cotton South from 1870s to 1950s among both blacks and whites. Right, because cotton was that crash crop. Right, let's go ahead. Following the Civil War, the United States, the South lay in ruins. Right, the South was in bad shape. Now remember, prior to the Civil War, now the South was the South was dominant, man. The South had it all, man. Right, and that's another reason why a lot of these these rebels, man, they get mad Or they really long for these days, man, because they was prosperous at one time, man. When I say the rebels, I'm talking about these Southern Confederates, man. They had it going on, man. Right? Plantation and other lands throughout the South were seized by the federal government, right? So the federal government after the war seized all these lands, right, that these slave owners held, right? A part of taking their power from them. And thousands of former slaves, known as freed men, found themselves free, yet without means to support their families, right? So now that after the Civil War, we was free. You went from slaves to being free, right? But now you just a free man with no job, no means, nowhere to stay, no nothing, right? So this is what you were thrust into, right? We finna free you, but they let you out of jail. No money, no bus pass, no nothing. Just figure it out, right? Freed themselves, yet without means to support their families. The situation was made more complex due to General T. Sherman Special Field Orders number 15, which in January 1865 announced he would temporarily grant newly freed families 40 acres of land on the islands of coastal regions of Georgia, right? 40 acres in the mule. Remember that? All right? This is what they sold to y'all, all right? This is one of the lies that they sold to us. This policy was also referred to as 40 acres and a mule. Many believe that this policy would extend to all former slaves and their families as repayment for their treatment at the end of the war, right? Let's get some more of this. An alternative path was selected and enforced, right? So instead of your 40 acres and a mule, right, they came up with something else. In the summer of 1865, President Andrew Johnson, as one of the first acts of Reconstruction, right, instead ordered all land under federal control be returned to the owners from whom it had been seized. Now, instead of giving you that 40 acres and a mule, right, what President Andrew Johnson just did, all that land farmland that they confiscated during the Civil War from these rebels, right? He just ordered it. He just said, man, give it back to them, right? Showing you whose side they on, right? The same people they was, that was traitors against this country, right? He just gave the land right back to them, man. See that? This meant that plantation and landowners in the South regained their land back, but lacked the labor force, right? So they got their land back, but it wasn't no slaves to come back with it. See, so all this devil did, right? When you really look at it, this great Civil War, it just took the power from the South, man, right? Took that free labor. That's all they really wanted. They didn't really want to free you, man, just for the sake of freeing you. But the South had all the power, man, right? These little couple states down here in the deep South, man, was running everything, man. Didn't even need the rest of the country, right? You see that? That's why they get angry, man, when this comes up, man, right? Because they had the power, man, right? But the Most High, through his, Egyptian verse, he'll set the Egyptian versus the Egyptians, man. Somebody had to lose that, and they came out on the bitter end of it. So now their free labor is not free. They got their land back, but without workers, and they can't work the land themselves. Right? So now they have to come up with a system of work, But all of this is due to those curses. Because look, if they could till the land themselves, they wouldn't need us. Right? They got the machines. They got, what I mean. They got everything they need. Right? But they are cursed from the earth. Right? So they need us, man. They can't do it themselves. The solution was sharecropping, which enabled the government to match labor with demand and begin the process of economically rebuilding the nation via labor contracts, right? Rebuilding it based off of labor, right? Not free labor, right? But this is bigger than that, because what the South just did was just strip power from, the North just stripped the power from the South, right? And then gave it back to them, right? Took their land, took their slaves, right? Freed the slaves and gave them back the land. Say, okay, now make money now. Right? This is why this place isn't what it used to be. right? Because they can't generate that type of wealth without slavery, right? What you think Make America Great Again is all about, man? They can't do that unless they did what made it great, and that's make you a slave, man. You see, it's gonna be hard for them to do that with your eyes wide open. In Reconstruction era, United States sharecropping was one of the few options for penniless freed men to support themselves and their families. Right, it's one of the only options you had left, so you had to comply with the system. Other solutions included crop leasing systems, where farmers were extended credit for seed and other supplies by the merchant, right? And then they overcredit them, so by the time you get done, paying back your seed and all that, you just got nothing, man. Almost like today when when you go to work after you get your paycheck, you pay all your bills, right? You barely got money left to buy food, man. Some things you got to cut short, man, and pick and choose what you're gonna pay off, right? It's the same thing with these guys, right? So even though you're free, right, you're still a slave, man, right? And the wage system. Oh, Slocky, let me go back up some. Other solutions, including the crop lean system, where the farmer was extended credit for seed and other supplies by the merchant. A rent labor system, where the farmer's slaves rented his land but keeps his entire crops. The wage system, workers earn a fixed wage, right, like you do now, but keep none of their crops. See what you do now, right? You go on these people's jobs, you work, right? But you don't own nothing at your job. When you leave, all the product stays there, nothing. You just earn an hourly wage, right? That's what we're doing now, right? Just your 9 to 5. Sharecropping was far from the most economically efficient, as it provided incentives for workers to produce a bigger harvest. It was a stage beyond simple hired labor because the sharecroppers had an annual contract. During Reconstruction, the Federal Freedmen's Bureau ordered the arrangements and wrote and enforced the contracts. After the Civil War, plantation owners had to borrow money to farm, right? Because nothing's free no more. At around 15% interest, the indebtedness of cotton planters increased through the early 1940s. See, so where your cotton went from being profitable, right, through free slavery, labor, right? Now, it's not even worth it because now the government, he's getting paid off of it, right? He's charging interest on it, right? He caused you to free your slaves, but now he's taxing you and making you the slave. And when I say you, I mean, the Edomites, man, right? So now they got to share the crops. Now they got to share the wealth, right? See, it was a whole trickle down, man, right? But who's all the way at the bottom of this? Jake. Right. This is where the curses are, take hold, man. After the Civil War, plantation owners had to borrow money to farm, around 15% interest. The indebtedness of cotton planters increased throughout the early 1940s, and the average plantation fell into bankruptcy over about every 20 years. See, right? Because now that the financial system is put in place, right, and, the man got to take his out. Right now, now a system that just produced, mass and vast amounts of prosperity. Right, this country is almost pretty much built off of cotton, man. Now it's become a debt to you people. Right, and that was by design, because the powers that be, right, they didn't want this. Right, if they can't control it, nobody can control it. Right, and plus they had other plans. It is against this backdrop that the wealthiest owners maintain their concentrated ownership of the land. Inside the living room, bedroom combination of sharecroppers in Lake Providence. Right, these are some of the places that these people were staying in. These sharecroppers. The commission or company store for sharecroppers at Lake Providence, as it appeared in the 19th centuries. Just little shacks, man. Sharecropping, Slovakia. Croppers were assigned a plot of land to work, and in exchange, owed the owners a share of the crop at the end of the season, usually one half, right? Because this owner, right, which is 9 times out of 10 they Edomite, man, right? Because they own everything, the fattens of the earth, they got it all. This owner can't, even though he got all this land, he can't do nothing, man. Right? He can't do nothing by himself. He needs you, man. Right? Got the book of Genesis, chapter 4, verse 12. When thou tillest the ground, it should not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond should I be in the earth. Right? And that's why, sharecropping after the Civil War was important. Right? And they needed Jake because they under curses, man. And Edomites can't till. Right? That's why you got all these genetically modified seeds and, organic versus organic versus artificial and all this old foolishness that we got out here, man. Because this devil can't do nothing, man. He's selfless. But I was just about to get ready to come to the end, so I'll go to the curses real quick and get some of these curses. I did the book of Deuteronomy 28. I'm going to start at verse 29. And thou shalt grope at noonday. Got the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 29. And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness. And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Right? And they even took advantage of us doing this sharecropping, right? Overcharging us. Right? Once you take your 1/3 of the crops out that you that's yours after the harvest that you rightfully work for. Right, we had owners overcharging our people for the machineries and seeds that they used, for the harvest. Right, but it's all, it all goes back to curses. And I was telling my wife, explaining to her, that anytime Jake starts doing good or it's looking like, things turned around from the best, those curses are always going to speed up, man, and clamp down, man. Right, to remind us. What you think that happened with That's what happened with Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? You think about the story, what do they say about us? The so-called blacks were doing good. They had their own theater. They had their own this, their own that. They didn't need nothing, man. The dollar bounced 7 times before it left out of the community. They had it all figured out. Yeah, but how many of those people in Tulsa, Oklahoma was yelling and praising Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai? None. So therefore, those curses, man, they always gonna prevail and remind us in the end until our Lord Yahushua come back and remove them. Got the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 33. The fruit of thy land and the fruit of thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always. Right. And even doing those sharecroppers, right? If you just go Google it and read through it, I was just pretty much giving us for the sake of time, just giving you pretty much an idea of what it was, right? But our people came out on the bitter end of this stuff, man, right? Losing everything, but due to the curses, because we should not prosper in our ways, as the Lord said. Verse 34. So that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. Right? Because, we just always get the raw end of the deal. But, all that's from the end. Drop down to verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up very high, shall get above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Right? It's going to be last, man. Until the Most High come and, allow our Savior, our Redeemer, to remove these curses, man. But until then, it just is what it is. Verse 44, he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. And just like we seen in that article, right? They had to go borrow the machinery, borrow seeds, get stuff on credit, man, just to make a living, right? And then once they do, they reap the benefits of their harvest, right? It's going out. Most of the majority, if not half or 3/4 of it, is going back to the, going back to the man, right? So a lot of that work they was doing out there, man, was just really in vain. Pretty much like us nowadays. You go out there, you work, you work hard, check come, man. After everybody get theirs, after the rent gone, after the bills and everything is gone, man. Card notes gone, man. What do you got left? Right? That's pretty much them. That was pretty much our people back then. Right? Showing you that the curses are still relevant and alive today. 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. Verse 46. They shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. All right. So, hey, man, to the Most High come and remove these curses, man, gonna always be a reminder, right? They're always gonna be on us for a sign. So right now, today, if you want to know who the children of Israel are, right, look no further than the curses. So I hope this lesson was edifying. I want to say, call halal Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai by Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect that's watching and learning. To you I say shalom. All right. Brother Nakamaya, to the next lesson. Shalom.